Okay, so I want to just discuss something very quickly in this video regarding cell phones or mobile phones being given to young children, and I mean minors, those who are under the age of 18. So that has come up within my own family, and I'm putting this video together to see if other families have had this situation come up, and how have you dealt with technology within your family. As you see, I have Miss Z on set. She has moved away from behind the camera and is willing to talk today about cell phone usage. And the reason is that she has just had her 10th birthday celebration, and one of the things that she was asking for prior to that, and has been asking for quite some time, is a mobile phone. I want a phone, I want a phone. So and that's something that I've been kind of putting off for a while. About a year ago, my mother promised to get her a mobile phone. What age?
No, it was when I was 7.
Oh,
she said when I was 7 and she would get me a phone when I was 10.
Okay, yeah. So, and I've just been kind of dismissing that. But we did go ahead, and we being myself and Zara's father, and made the decision to get her a mobile phone. But it did come with consequences, and why wouldn't it? I mean, if you've been following my channel, then you know that I just have a certain way of thinking and seeing the world. So therefore, if I'm going to give a mobile phone to a minor, especially to one of my children, then it would have to come with some level of consequences. And I want to lay out what they are, and also to get Miss Z's reaction in regards to the consequences and therefore the responsibilities that come with getting a mobile phone. First of all, she requested an iPhone. 10 years old, requested an iPhone.
I said I wanted an iPhone, but I would take an LG or a Samsung.
So what we did is that we used an old phone that we had, or
a Samsung Galaxy S2 to be specific.
She now has her phone. As I mentioned, it wasn't just given to her and that's it, because I do have a concern about minors having phones. So I did a bit of research in regards to just mobile phone usage among minors, and to see what was some of the common concerns and issues that came up. And what I got from it was that there's an increasing amount of cell phone and technology use among minors, to the point where it's having an effect upon their sleeping habits, is having an effect on their social life, and is having an effect on their home life. When they come home from school, that's one of the first things that they focus on, as opposed to maybe studying or reading or doing something academically. With that said, I said, okay, you know what, I'm going to take a look, and I came across contracts online. One of the goals is for the contracts is to give the child some level of responsibility in terms of having a phone and having the privilege of phone usage. On her birthday, we gave her the phone, and we then said that in addition to having the phone, you also have the responsibility of adhering to this contract, right? Very simple contract, and I will aim to post the link under the description, so look for that once you have gone through this video, if you have an interest in doing the same for your own family members, okay, especially those that are minors. So the contract begins with a little letter with, you put in the the minor's name, and it says, no, congrats, you've proven yourself mature and responsible enough for your own cell phone, right? Given that you have a new cell phone in your hands, we obviously trust you to make good decisions. So why are we making you sign this lame thing that's loaded with stuff that you probably already know? Well, let me get to the point. So that's how this the little letter on the contract begins. And then it talks about the idea of really just knowing that this is a form of technology and that there's a certain level of responsibility that is required for you to have that. The next page is actually the family cell phone agreement, and in this particular contract there are like 11 bullet points that that are listed and that the Missy had to initial, or your own child or grandchild or family member will have to initial, and at the bottom of it they'll have to sign that, and then I sign, her father signed also. So there are 3 signatures there, and this is really a way of, I think, first of all, making the child feel that it's a grown-up thing. To sign a contract is a grown-up thing, and I think it puts them on in a certain mindset in terms of knowing that what they have here really is a privilege, and it's not just a right because they want it. So let me just go through a few bullet points, and then I'm going to have Miss C give you some feedback. I will hand the phone to one of my parents promptly and you put the time in the evening, PM, every school night and every weekend night at blank PM. I will get it back at blank AM, and then they initial there. So that way there's some level of control in terms of when the child will have the phone. So he or she does not have the phone all day and all night, and you're not sending them to bed and they're taking their cell phone in with them. They know that, okay, by a certain time I've got to shut this phone off and hand it in, and I'll get it back in the morning. Okay, I promise I will tell my parents when I receive suspicious or alarming phone calls or text messages from people I don't know. I will also tell my parents if I'm being harassed by someone via cell phone, which is very important, I think, especially in a time when there's an increase in bullying among young people. Another bullet point is I will never use my phone or social media to bully or tease anyone, even if my friends think it's funny. And that had to be initial also. And another one, when I'm old enough, I won't text and drive. I understand it's very dangerous and pretty stupid. And that had to be initialed. So even though Miss C is only 10 and she has a couple more years before she can actually learn to start driving and will be driving, that's still something that I think is important to have on the contract, just to keep that in her mind, and to know that as she gets older, that's part of something that she will have to be responsible for. I promise that my parents will always know my phone passwords. I understand that my parents have a right to look at my phone whenever there's a need for them to do so, even without my permission. Because remember, you're giving your child a phone, right? You're paying the bill. You own the phone as a parent. You own the phone, and you are giving it to your child as a privilege to them. But the phone belongs to the parent, all right? So that's a family cell phone agreement. There are 11 points on there, like I mentioned, and these were We went over with Miss C on this. We agreed to them. She signed everything on this, and we signed everything as her parents. I'm going to turn over to Miss C, and let me ask you a few questions. First of all, what do you think about getting the phone?
Since I'm not in school yet, and like I don't have anyone's phone number except for yours and Dad's and Rashida's and Gabriel, it's okay. I'm happy.
You're happy? Okay, even though you're asking for a phone for quite some time.
Yeah.
When you got it, you're only happy, I guess?
Because it's not like I have any people's phone numbers and I can't really call people. And also, one of my games doesn't work, just saying.
Really then, to me, all that time that you're asking for a phone, can I have a phone, I want a phone. Now you have it, I'm wondering what was the urgency of you getting one? Or requesting one?
I can't really say what I want.
Social pressure maybe, because your friends had, because I do remember you said to me, oh Mum, I think like the last week of school, before school went out for summer holidays, she was saying that your friends that had mobile phones, they had been texting each other or doing like a group chat, and you said you felt a bit left out. Do you remember? So with that said, sometimes when you hear your children talking about they need this, they need that, sometimes you have to, I think, let them wait a little bit and not always just buy it because they demand
I never said
it.
I needed it though. I said I wanted it, but I can't say need it because I actually don't need it.
Okay, so you wanted the phone, but it wasn't. So your want came across though as a very strong need.
No, it was a very strong want.
A very strong want.
Because I didn't need it, but I really wanted it.
So now that you have the phone, what do you think about having to read, sign, and follow a contract?
It's fine.
Is it really fine? Are you really fine with every point that was made on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything is important.
Do you think a family cell phone agreement makes sense, or you think they could have just got on the phone without having to sign this?
I know you would not just give me a phone without any contract, because you would have been like, I'm not giving you a phone without a contract, or else I'm doing that when you're 15, because you said you would give me a phone when I'm 15. I'd be surprised if you had no contract.
You would be surprised if you had no contract.
And I'm surprised you even agreed to this, because Dad said that you had to you didn't want to do it that much, so you had to really push you.
Well,
I'm surprised.
we had a discussion about it, obviously. I mean, we're both your parents, so we have to agree upon things like that. We have to make joint decisions, so absolutely. Yeah. So you're surprised that you got the phone, and you're surprised that you have a contract?
I'm not surprised I have a contract.
Do you know if any of your friends, have a contract?
Probably not.
So this is what we have done. I'm not sure how many of you may have done that for your own children, may have been thinking about getting your children a phone and giving them a contract, or maybe they already have a phone with no contract. You might want to consider a contract, because I think it does allow you a certain amount of management in terms of giving your child technology. It allows your child to understand that having the use of a phone is a privilege and it's not a right. It's a privilege. They also said by the end of this year we will take a look at how she's been using the phone and then make a decision if we're going to upgrade the phone that she currently has. Not sure if we're going to be focusing on getting an iPhone.
I know I'm probably not getting an iPhone.
But you never know. Okay, so with that said, do you have any closing comments that you would like to make?
Try to get one before you're 15.
Why?
Because if you wait till you're 15, then like that's just too late. That's way too late. At least try to change your parents' mind so that you get it before you're 15.
But what is it about being 15? When I just asked you.
That's too old. 15 is way too old.
Yeah, but when I asked you a little while ago about even having a phone and you're 10 now, you said, I only have a couple of numbers in here. And
Yeah, I want it more if I'm in school. Because if I'm in school and I have more people to talk to and more like stuff to do. Because like my friends have Musical.ly, so I can like follow them on Musical.ly and stuff. And like if they have Instagram, I don't know if many of them do, but I would follow them. And one of my friends has Snapchat, so I would follow her on Snapchat, and then I can like look at their things and stuff, and like I would have more things to do.
all right, so maybe we need to ask that question to you again towards the end of the year to see how you've used your phone. All right. Well, thank you for joining me, and I thank you for sharing your time with me and Miss D. I hope that my hindsight has and will inspire you, and that you will find
Your own way to blossom.